Hey guys, Brian here. The Rim to Rim pack is now shipping. Yeah, that's right. Finally, we've been talking about it for months and now it is here. The Rim to Rim pack is the ultimate Grand Canyon day pack, which we designed with the Canyon hiker in mind, because that's exactly what we are. Please have a look at brightangeloutfitters.com. The front pockets are everything. We are super pumped. Quantities are very limited. Get your Rim to Rim pack at brightangeloutfitters.com. We exist to help you have your best possible hiking experience. Now, on to the show. Hey there, everybody. My name is Brian Special, and this is the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. All right, today, a tale from a first-timer who had long dreamed of hiking the canyon, but waited until he was 70 to do it. Well, older is definitely wiser, and you'll hear that wisdom in the pragmatic approach he took to getting himself ready. Plenty of tips and tricks and lessons learned along the way. Let's get right to it. This was a bonus to me because we got to sit down for this conversation face-to-face in Scottsdale, Arizona. So fun to do these in person. Here now is that story on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. Phil Neely has been a Texan for 40 years now, so he's ingrained in the Texas culture of everything's bigger here. But way back in his youth, he'd already learned that's really not true.
I grew up in Phoenix and probably visited the Grand Canyon a dozen times over my childhood. Easy place to get to, a lot of fun to get to.
Isn't it amazing how many people who live in Arizona who are almost proud to tell you, I've never been to the Grand Canyon. Like it's a badge of honor. Are you kidding me?
It's odd. Until you've seen it, you don't understand.
No.
Okay. When people say it's the, one of the seven wonders of the world, I think you need to take note of that. Okay. If the most critical people in the world, people who are picking cool things, claim that's definitely in the top seven, that's definitely worth hopping in the car, filling the tank up, and going up today and seeing it.
You would think so.
Okay, that's me. If I had Mount Everest 3 hours away, I would be sitting in front of it looking at it. So it's certainly the biggest hole I've ever seen. It is, and the most beautiful. It is amazing when you look at it. It's hard for your eyes to really honestly figure out what you're looking at. It's that deep. So true. And that wide.
So true.
And then to realize it's natural.
There's no photograph, there's no video that can ever do it justice or can ever capture the scale, the magnificence of the canyon. You have to see it for yourself. But in all those canyon visits, Phil never once ventured below the rim. That would wait until this year, 2024, with a New Year's resolution and then a last-minute trip with his adult daughter, just a month shy of his 71st birthday. But first, Phil knew he had to prepare.
The very first hike to prep for the Grand Canyon was 4 miles, and I was tired. I'm not kidding you. I went out and hiked 4 miles. The following Saturday, I've hiked 10 miles, and that was hard. It was like I can clearly, and that's only been 2 months ago. So I hiked 10 miles, and the last 2, I was whining to myself, of course. But it's hard to go out and hike, to just walk 10 miles. The following, I made Saturdays my long hike. So I was hiking every day, 4 miles, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. And then Saturday was my long hike. And then, so I went 4, 8, 10, then I did 16, then I did 20. And I did 20 miles in 8 hours. And I know that a lot of you are sitting there going, I do 20 miles much faster. I got it, okay? I am the pokiest hiker I know, okay? I don't know why I'm so slow.
Who cares?
It is...
Hike your own hike, baby.
I just don't get it. I wished I had... I would like to be able to hike 3 miles an hour, and I would feel really, really good about the whole deal. But on flat ground, I hiked 20 miles in 8 hours, and that was maybe 2 15-minute breaks, that type deal. But your podcast, and I found you by going online and finding Rim to Rim, and then seeing you had kind of a bit of an advertisement on the Hiker Dude, and I a couple years ago, I went to a pawn shop and I bought a set of headphones, and it's just opened up the world because everybody that's worth listening to has a podcast.
Yeah.
And so now I'm hiking, listening to your podcast.
Oh, yeah, all right. Beautiful.
And the one podcast that you had, maybe, I don't know, a month or two ago, and it made so much sense. You were going rim to rim to rim. Mm-hmm. And so you took off at night at 9 p.m. in the dark, and you went down South Kaibab, all the way across the bottom, past Phantom Ranch, all the way up North Kaibab, and you got there as the sun was coming up.
Yeah.
The entire Grand Canyon in the dark.
Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
And then you took a short break and turned around and came back.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember. It seems to me you did 42 miles in like 20 hours.
Yeah, it was 19 hours and 19 minutes. I'll never forget
it's crazy. I mean, people,
It's hard.
If you're listening to this podcast, that is a huge feat. I can't begin to tell you how far down the Grand Canyon is. I mean, when people go, it's a long way down. No. It's hours down.
Yeah, it's no joke.
And we're not talking down. We're talking like steep down.
Yeah.
And then switchbacks and rocks. And
so you were inspired.
I was inspired.
I love it.
And I'm thinking,
Makes me feel so good.
if you can go rim to rim to rim, I can go rim to rim.
Yes, sir.
That's all I'm thinking.
Yes, sir. You built yourself up and you did the 20-mile hike.
I did.
So when did you know that you were ready for it?
You had Arnie on.
Yeah, Coach Arnie.
So
The
Coach Arnie is on your podcast. And he said something like, I don't know, it's only been like a month ago. And he said something that rang in my ears. He just goes, always remember, you can do twice what you prepped for.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, now I wasn't thinking in terms of miles, I can do 40 miles. I'm thinking that you can do 16 hours, and I had prepped 8. And so knowing that here is a guy that teaches people, just like you, how to walk through the Grand Canyon, how to hike the Grand Canyon, that I have twice in me that I've prepped. Well, I did 4 8-hour hikes, and then my daughter, she's a medical rep here in Arizona and has Arizona as a territory, so she had meetings just last week, Wednesday in Prescott, and then Thursday in Flagstaff with doctors. And so she asked me if I wanted to go, and I said, can we zip up from Flagstaff to the Grand Canyon? And she goes, yeah, I'll make that happen.
Nice.
And I said, okay. So I says, I'm going to go ahead and try. And so the original goal was to hike down maybe 4 miles, okay, and then come back up.
To be clear, your goal for this year, and you're going to do this later in the year, is to do a full rim to rim.
South Kaibab to North Kaibab.
Right. So you and your daughter, at the last second, even though you've been doing these training hikes and you're building up to rim, you find the opportunity to go up to the canyon. North rim is still closed, so rim to rim is not an option at this time of the year.
Right.
So you're going up there to kind of dip in below the rim, see what it's like. So what was your plan when you guys got up there?
We got up there. We left the hotel room. We were staying in Flagstaff, and we left the hotel room 6. So we get up to the canyon we park right at South Rim. So we're right there. And she decides she's going to hike with me. She's going to go down maybe 2 miles and then come back up 2 miles and then drive back to Flagstaff, make her calls, and then come back that night and have dinner with me.
That's a day.
And so, and she's a good hiker, way better hiker than me.
And are you going to go down South Kaibab or are you going to go down Bright Angel?
I'm going to go down South Kaibab.
Okay.
Okay.
Had you ever been to South Kaibab before?
I've never hiked in the canyon, period.
But had you even been to the South Kaibab trail?
Never have. I've never seen it.
Okay.
But also the reason why I wanted to go South Kaibab is that everybody says that's where the spectacular views are.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
And I wanted the views.
Yeah. Good for you.
I want to see the views. And if you're listening to this, honestly, there's nothing I can say that can possibly equal what you're going to see.
Correct.
When you go down South Cabot.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, we can sit here and tell you all day long, it's cool, it's spectacular, it's deep, it's this, that's the other thing. But until you have dropped down somewhere around, what is it, Ooh-ah?
Just below Ooh-ah. Yeah.
Like around Ooh-ah Point, you're going to see things that your eyeballs have never seen before. You're going to have to really honestly sit down and kind of take it in, because
Takes your breath away. It really does.
It's just unbelievable.
Everyone says Ooh-ah Point is the spot because it's 9/10 of a mile down. But if you go just a little bit below Ooh-ah, and the next stop is Cedar Ridge, another half mile down, between Ooh-ah Point and Cedar Ridge are the most spectacular views anywhere in the Grand Canyon that I've ever seen. They are just, it's like you're just being enveloped by the entire canyon. You just can't even believe what you're seeing.
When I got to Ooh-ah Point, Lindsay.
Okay, so you're with your daughter, and
I'm
you
with
guys.
my daughter.
So you're going down South Kaibab, and what's your
enjoying
goal?
it too.
What are you thinking you're going to do?
When
today?
I got to Ooh-ah Point, I told her, I said, look, I've got this. I can do this. I'm going to go down to the river.
Oh man.
I'm going to cross the river, and I'm going to come back up Bright Angel, and I'll see you for dinner at Bright Angel.
Phil, you said you were only going to go down a couple miles.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a full rim to river.
I'm going to do a rim to rim.
Oh my gosh.
I got plenty of water, plenty of food, plenty of socks. I've got it all.
Did you have any idea what you were getting yourself into? Because going a couple miles down or 3 miles down South Kaibab and then back up is a whole different experience than going all the way to the river and then back up Bright Angel. That's a huge hike.
Yeah, the only actual, if there's such a thing as a mistake I made, okay, the mistake was you don't start at 8 a.m. Okay, you start at 4 or 5 a.m. Okay, if you're going to go down, in my opinion, you're the pro. You've done this 100 times. I've done it once. If somebody comes to me and says, what time do you start? I urge you, start early. Start in the dark, get there at 4, so be out of your hotel at 3:30 or whatever, okay, and be at South Kaibab at 4 and start down at 4. Because ideally, most people are going to come up Bright Angel, and they're going to come up at 4 or 5 and go have dinner, okay? I'm kind of pokey. It took me 16 hours. And so...
Well, what did your daughter think when you guys... So you split up because she had to go back to work.
She had to go back to work.
So she headed up from Ooh-ah, she headed back to the rim, and you kept on going. You're like, I got this?
Yeah.
What did she think? She's like, Dad, I don't know.
She felt pretty weird, I'm still her dad. And, she doesn't know how concerned to be. But, this is not the first... I hate to throw it into the crazy basket, but it's not the first crazy thing I've ever done. So she's kind of used to her dad. I was a member of a parachute team. I raced motorcycles. We were boat owners for decades. We've done a lot of very strenuous stuff.
How bad could this be?
Yeah, and so, as she turned around to go back up, I could tell in her face that she felt... partially a bit envious that she's not heading down with me, but also mostly that she's not heading down with me to watch over me. Okay, and as most daughters would with their older dads. And I'll be 71 May 19th. So but I don't, and I only say that because I'm sure that there's somebody else right now that's, a grandfather wondering if they've got it in them. And I'm telling you, more than likely you do.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
even if you don't think you do.
That Coach Arnie, the one thing that he constantly would tell you is you're way more capable than you probably think you are.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can tell you this. Listening to your podcast, listening to Arnie, and, he's going through different exercises, all that's important. I mean, every single exercise that you do to prepare for a Grand Canyon hike is important. But I can tell you this, if I was to add to the coaching that you guys do, and I'm no coach, but if I was to add one component, that is this. If you're listening to this podcast, I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're in France. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you're in Texas, if you got flat ground like I do in Houston. If you cannot set the alarm, I'm talking tomorrow, and put your backpack on and get out your hiking boots or whatever it is you plan to wear down. I bought a used pair of Merrells from REI that are awesome. They are wonderful, and they're the high top, so they kept my ankles straight the whole time. I've tried the tennis shoe hiking routine, and I'm most comfortable in tennis shoes. The problem is that if you hit a rock, it's easy for your foot to tip over, and so you have to keep it straight to whereas the boot does it for you. You know, so the boot takes away an element of comfort, but adds an element of safety. That's what I found.
Turning in ankles are one of the easiest things
Oh
to do
my
in the canyon.
goodness!
Yeah.
And and it's so easy because it is I can't even begin to tell you how rocky it is going down, and you know it, especially doing it in the dark. But anyway, my number one prep advice to anybody that's serious about hiking Grand Canyon, doing a rim to rim, is if you cannot set the alarm tomorrow, put your backpack on, okay? And you need at least 3 liters of water. So anybody that tells you can do it in 2, they have no clue what they're talking about. You need 3 liters of water. You got to have food. You need something that you're willing to eat, because about 6 or 8 hours into this, you're not going to feel like eating. Okay, I am telling you, food turns to glue in your mouth. You're not going to feel like eating. But if you cannot get up in your city, right where you're sitting right now, if you can't take off and go for a 12-hour walk in your hometown, I don't care where it is. I mean, 12 hours. So walk for 12, take your cell phone with you, have somebody come pick you up in 12 hours, okay? Either that or walk 6 out, and then that forces you to walk 6 back. But if you cannot be on your feet carrying a backpack for 12 hours, you're going to struggle in the Grand Canyon, because even good guys take 12 hours to do it. I'm pokey as all get out, so I was literally out there 16 hours.
So you're saying time on your feet is the best way to prepare?
Yeah, time on my feet.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not overly strenuous. It's exhausting. At no time ever did I go, oh my goodness, I'm going to give up. Okay, that's not the point here.
Time on your feet, incredibly, incredibly important. But it's not just time on your feet. If you're asking questions, if you're in the Facebook groups, if you're listening to podcasts, if you are just walking at home, if you're doing toe raises, if you're walking backwards like Coach Arnie always preaches, as long as you're doing something, you're being intentional, you're taking it seriously, you're respecting the canyon. And to me, those are the people who are going to be okay when push comes to shove. And that's, it's doing something, right? Like you said, if you can wake up in the morning and just, do something. Make sure you're doing your research, you're doing something physical that you know is going to help you in the canyon. So, okay, Phil, your daughter leaves you, you head on down. Just tell me what you're experiencing as you start to drop in, because now you're committed. Right? Now you're committed. You're below Uau Point. You can always bail out and turn around and come back, but now you've set it in your mind that you're going to go all the way to the river and all the way back up Bright Angel for a full rim to river to rim hike. What are you thinking at this point?
Over the next mile, I'm starting to realize how deep the Grand Canyon is. And when you turn back and look at the rim from where you came from, you're going, holy cow, that's like really up.
Yeah.
All I can say is that that's up. That's like really up, okay? It's really beautiful and really up. And then you're looking down, and you have way farther to go. I look at it more like hours, okay? 2 hours down, and you're about halfway. And you have every bit as far deep to go as that you have come down. And when I tell you that you're coming down, it's down. Okay, this is not like a gradual type descent. This is like there's
steep.
Not any cars or Jeeps going to come down this road. Okay, it is and then I met my first what do you call it? The mule train? I don't know.
I always think it's a privilege to see them. I love seeing the mules.
And they're so serious.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and you think about these mules. This is like the hardest life any mule could ever have. I mean, they're all carrying stuff up and down, and they're so serious. And the riders, that are on them. I mean, these guys look like, these are not the guys that you want to go pushing around or anything. I mean, they look serious.
Yeah.
And I think all they're thinking is, you guys are all crazy. That's all I'm thinking. But they don't slow down. It is very interesting. I videotaped them, and it was a beautiful thing to see them.
Yeah.
And it just brought some reality into the canyon.
And you get to step off to the side and take a break, no matter if you want to or not.
You do. And, it. And then as you're going down, and I forget what point it was, there was like a flat area that had even a restroom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that was interesting. Okay, so
after Cedar, there are restrooms at Cedar Ridge and at Tip-Off on South Kaibab.
Yeah, and I think I'm thinking of Tip-Off.
Yeah.
And then the bad part about it is that another error I had is I didn't have a water filter.
Mm.
You got to have water filter.
Number one rule in the canyon.
So I wasn't having a water issue, although I would have topped off had I had a water filter.
So you had a 3-liter bladder? Is that what you had?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So you had a lot of water.
I had plenty. I probably honestly drank a liter all the way down. But after, Tip-Off Point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tip-Off.
Is that where the first place you get a chance to see the Colorado?
Well, you can see it from Skeleton Point's the first time you can see it. Tip-Off, you can really see it, and you can see it the rest of the way down.
Then at Skeleton Point, first time you see the Colorado River, I mean, that'll take your breath away.
Yeah.
I mean, it is utterly fascinating to see that river, and you can clearly see how fast it's running.
Yeah.
Okay. And
was it running brown or green that day?
Green.
Oh, nice. I love when it's green.
Yeah, it's green. And
Beautiful.
it was cold and cooking.
Yeah.
That was so interesting to see the Colorado River. And then the next thing that was super interesting is when you see Black Bridge.
Yeah. You can start to see that when you get below Tip-Off.
And, that bridge was built like 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so smart. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked at the engineering of the bridge, but
incredible. It's
just like so thoughtful.
So it's the Kaibab suspension bridge. They carried those cables down. It was carried down by men and mules. Those cables in one piece.
That's amazing.
That like 500-foot stretch that goes across the river from one side to the other.
Utterly amazing.
Carried down by men and by mule. Incredible.
Man.
The things they had to do to build that.
It was I probably, I'm just always amazed at bridges in general. And when you stop and you think about what they carry, the weight they carry, and how they built them and how long they've lasted, it's really fast. Anyway, Here we are in the middle of nowhere, a mile deep, and there is a bridge that is standing 100 years after it was put up, and it looks like it was built yesterday.
Yeah. Black Bridge is something, man.
I mean, it's utterly perfect.
So you've come down 4,780 vertical feet over 6.5 miles to get to Black Bridge. So how are you feeling at this point? Has it hit you that, oh my, maybe my daughter was right? What have I gotten myself into? How are you feeling at this point?
No, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm honestly, I'm not even really tired. I'm honestly not even tired.
Great.
I listened to what you said. You talked about the pressure on your feet and your knees, and so I went out and got knee sleeves. Okay? I really think that helped. I think that the compression of being able to keep the lower part of my leg and the upper part of my leg, I think it added strength. Just like those Merrell boots, okay? Between the Merrell boots and those knee sleeves, and I dressed really comfortable. I'm a gym rat, so I go to the gym every day. So I had gym pants on. I was never cold, never hot. Okay.
This was in April.
Yeah, I had 3. It never got hot. So I never had to deal with that element. And I could only imagine, had it been 30 or 40 degrees hotter, what that would have been like.
Yeah.
Okay, because that would really add to your water consumption, to your exhaustion.
Yeah.
But all in all, I had probably perfect weather. I mean, when I got over on the other side at Bright Angel Camp, they had a temperature gauge and it said 75.
Nice.
So I probably hit it dead on perfect.
Yeah. Did you go up to Phantom Ranch?
I didn't.
Okay. So you stayed right on.
I wanted to. But if I went over to Phantom Ranch, I would probably want to hang out, and then it would. And I wasn't thinking, even as it was, I was going to come out at 11 o'clock. I was thinking I was still going to get back up in time to have dinner. But I bypassed Phantom Ranch, so I missed a real important part of the canyon.
No, because you're going to get to see that when you come back and do the full rim trim. You're not going to have a choice this time.
But so I want to go across and see. I want to hang out.
I never go to Phantom Ranch anymore. Once you've seen Phantom Ranch, you've seen it. Well, you like I said, you can do that when you go back and do your rim to rim.
I want
but
the famous Phantom Ranch lemonade.
It is. You just got to be careful. You don't do too much of a sugar bomb, and you're throwing it up all over the trail moments later. But okay, so you get to the junction where you can either go right to Phantom Ranch or you go left to hook up with the River Trail and Bright Angel Trail and cross the Silver Bridge.
They were doing a ton of work there. I don't know what they're putting in. I guess a water system.
Yeah, it's the water pipe. It's the Trans-Canyon pipeline project.
They're doing. They got helicopter flying in and out.
So Bright Angel had just reopened because Bright Angel was closed for the entire winter up until April 15th. So it had just reopened when you hit it.
Man, and I hit it.
So you got lucky.
I think it was 25th.
Yeah, so it had only been open for 10 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, because the only alternative is go back up.
And you'd have to go up South Kaibab and you wouldn't have water and you didn't bring a filter. You would have gotten yourself into potentially some trouble.
It could have been an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, and you really got to stay on this stuff.
You do.
I mean, you
have to check and see if the water is going to be on. That's the number one thing, but you have to have a filter just in case.
These two young men that were at Boat Island. So.
At the beach, at Boat Beach?
Boat Beach. Okay.
And this is a spot just right down at the bottom where the river trips will haul out and have lunch.
There was 4 or 5.
It's a sandy beach, and it's a great place to go dip your feet in the water.
There were 4 or 5 rafts that were there. Mm-hmm. Everybody, they had been rafting. It looked like they had some wicked. I mean, they were all worn. Okay, so. I should have spent more time talking to him, but I'm thinking, I'm already, it's like 12:30 or something, and I'm thinking, okay, I really need to focus on getting out of this canyon. And so, and I'll tell you the other thing, I changed my socks 3 times.
I hear that helps. I've never tried that, but I hear that really refreshes you.
It just, your feet sweat, okay? And every time you put dry socks on, it helps. And, the next time, I'm going to change them out more. So I'm going to take several pair of socks. And you've got to have those big wool socks that you get at REI. Okay, you need them big socks because your feet sweat. But anyway, these 2 young men, and I don't know their names, they were doing a practice run to do a rim-to-rim. Okay, so they were kind of doing the same hike I was doing, and then on 2 days later, they were going to do a South Kaibab to North Kaibab. And so they had a water filter, so I used their filter to fill up my bladder. And
did you filter out of the river or out of the creek?
Out of the river.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you got to have that. My wife, Wendy, gave me some salt tabs, and I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, I'm not only going to have a hard time walking up this canyon, but I'm going to have a stomach ache while I do it. And so I was really afraid to do that. So anyway... almost everybody but me had a water filter. I probably spent 15, 20 minutes at the river, walked down, went across the other bridge, and headed up.
What'd you think about crossing Silver Bridge? Because we talked about Black Bridge. Silver Bridge is an entirely different experience because you can see through it. It's a great, the floor is a grate the entire way across. So you could see the river down there, 50, 75 feet below you, and you can hear it. What'd you think of that experience?
I love
it. It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. All I'm thinking is, okay, these are industrial-type bridges. They are made for lots of people and animals to cross. I mean, they are...
sturdy.
Okay, but... there's no top on them. I mean, if you wanted to, you could just jump right off it and go swimming in the Colorado.
Could.
I don't know if you'd survive. Okay.
Well, I will tell you that from the bridge down to a mile down is the deadliest place in the entire canyon. So do not get in the water.
I listen to people.
It is dangerous.
Yeah, I hear people all the time. They, because that's the one thing that even the Grand Canyon people tell you. The people that work up there is just leave the Colorado River alone there.
Don't mess with it.
The undercurrent will just. Yep. This one guy, I read his thing, and he said that he was in the canyon years ago, and there was a gigantic storm. They had a flash flood, and one of his friends got knocked into the Colorado River, and they found him 5 miles down. And of course, he didn't survive.
There's a book called Over the Edge, Death in the Grand Canyon, a famous book, and it's like a survival guide. There's an entire chapter just on the Colorado and the stories that they have to tell of people dying. Like I said, and that stretch right down there by Phantom Ranch is the deadliest stretch, seriously, in the entire canyon.
It's
so
crazy.
Don't mess with the river.
The only thing I can tell you, if you are contemplating a rim to rim, is all of these preps and recommendations. I mean, you got to take them seriously.
You do.
I did the rim to rim without committing to it until I was committed, which meant I didn't have a water filter. You have to have a water filter. You're going to have to figure out the shoe thing. You're going to have to figure out this issue of being on your feet 12 hours. And you're going to have to figure out the food thing, because your body, I know you think you're going to get really hungry, but you don't. It kind of plays a trick on you. You have to force yourself to eat. I had all of these packages of, what's it called, the trail mix. Okay, and on the way down, no big deal. On the way up, it became a big deal. I had to force myself to eat. And you start to eat nuts in your mouth, and it just turns to glue. Okay, and then you have to force yourself to drink to swallow it. But that's where your energy's coming from. And if you don't eat, you'll run out of energy.
It's so hard. It's a work, and I've done it so many times, and it's a work in progress.
You have to do it.
You never really. I have yet to figure out the hydration / nutrition element of this. Every time it's something different. Sometimes Sour Patch Kids work for me. You know, sometimes candy works for me. Other times, you know, it's having an apple down by the river. But it's you need something.
And electrolytes. You got to have electrolytes.
No, you have to have electrolytes.
And I'm new to that. I mean, and so now what I do is that I've got 3 liters on my back, and I fill up a 16-ounce water bottle, and I put the electrolytes in the water bottle.
Yep.
So what I do is I drink out of my 16-ounce bottle, and every time after that, then I fill it up and just continue the process.
That's a good way to do it.
But you have, because I don't want to put the electrolytes in my bladder. I'm afraid it's going to mess my bladder up. But maybe that is the way to go.
No, that's what some people do it that way. A lot of people, like you're saying, carry another bottle. If you have a pack that has front pockets, that's a really good thing to do, is to carry a bottle with your electrolytes in the front. I've found that I've gotten so tired of those electrolyte powders because they're so sweet that I've gone to the tablets and the capsules, electrolyte tablets and capsules that I'll take every hour. And for me, that works.
How do you take the tablet?
Better.
You just eat it?
So the tablet, they're chewable tablets. I use salt sticks. And like they have lemon, lime, and berry flavors.
And you
just
take
one or
tablet.
two of those, and you just chew up the
and so
tablet.
now you're drinking water, fresh water out of your bladder.
Yes.
And you're just drinking the tablet.
Yes,
down.
or capsules. You can just swallow capsules.
That would be ideal.
I think so, because the powders, a lot of people swear by them, but I just got so tired of them.
It keeps you from having an entire pocket of empty electrolyte bags.
True, that's true too. That's true too.
Because you can't leave anything behind.
Yeah.
You have to leave the canyon the way the canyon was.
So how was it when you crossed Silver Bridge? It's about to get serious. You're going to meander along the river there, which is an awesome part of the hike. When you are alongside the Colorado, it's pretty flat for another mile until you get to River Rest House. Then you turn inland away from the river. You go for another mile, and then you hit Devil's Corkscrew. So it's pretty flat for those first couple of miles, and then you hit Devil's Corkscrew. I'm wondering what you're feeling as you start that significant climb, which you're going to be doing the rest of the way.
I can tell you, I'm feeling small is what I'm feeling. I'm thinking, first off, I hadn't seen anybody in a long time. That is a bizarre. The nice thing about walking along the Colorado River was you had noise, so you could hear the river. When you start going inland, real soon it's quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, and when I say quiet, I'm talking quiet, okay? The other thing I thought was funny is that there's not a lot of animal life down there. I thought I was going to see all kinds of stuff down there, but, you're so darn deep and so far away that, I didn't see that many birds. It was very, very quiet. So you and your thoughts get to really hang out together for a while.
Yeah.
And you can get, but it's now probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I had been hiking for maybe 6 hours or 7 hours. And this just goes and goes and goes and goes. And then you have these false ridges. I can remember I look up and I think, oh, that's not that bad. And so you walk 2 hours and you get there just to find out there's another ridge behind it.
And another one behind that.
And then you walk another 2 hours and you find out that's not the ridge you're trying to get to. And it takes, I don't think you actually, I think it was probably 6:30 at night before I actually saw the actual ridge that I had to go to. And it's 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, and it's daunting to look up and realize, you got to be kidding me, okay? Like
You feel like you've done so much already, right?
It's
got to be closer.
And I can remember, I remember getting to, I think, Bright Angel Campground.
Okay, so Bright Angel Campground's at the bottom. So you're probably thinking Havasupai Gardens Campground.
Maybe Havasupai. There's a sign there,
which is about halfway.
There's a sign there that says 4.5 miles.
Yep, you're halfway. That's Havasupai Gardens.
And I look at that and I'm going, 4.5 miles.
What would you have said if I would have told you at that point, Phil, that you were halfway between the river and the top? What would you have said?
I couldn't believe it. 4.5 miles is not that big a deal, other than when you've been on your feet 12 hours.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking is, number one, I'm so slow, and number two, I have so far to go. Okay, and it kind of got real at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I realized that it's going to be dark soon.
And you had no intention of being out there after dark. You thought you would finish it in the daylight.
But the day before, Lindsay and I, we were at this REI, and they had these headlamps by the checkout, and so I grabbed the cheapest. I grabbed the cheapest one.
Thank goodness.
That was a good buy. You have to prepare for hiking in the dark.
Always have a filter. Always have a headlamp.
Gotta have.
You never know.
Gotta have the right shoes. Yeah. Gotta have food. Gotta have water. And you gotta have a headlamp. And if you're gonna be hiking in the canyon, especially rim to rim, I mean, if you're anything like me, you're either going to take off in the dark or you're going to end in the dark. And when I talk about dark, I'm not talking dark in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I'm talking darker than anything you've ever seen, okay, to where you honestly cannot see anything in front of you. And even when you look straight up, of which you can't walk and look straight up, it's kind of bizarre because everything is black. And then if you look up for, say, a minute, your eyes start to focus on the skyline and you see the stars, but they're a long ways away and they're not helping. And, and even if there is a full moon, it's the odds of it shining over your head would even be rare. Yeah.
I do that all the time, actually, in the summer times. I come out at night up Bright Angel during full moons, and you can't see it. Honestly, the last 5 minutes of the hike is really the only time I see the moon, just because of the way the canyon walls are situated. Now, if you happen to go up South Kaibab, which is more exposed and open, you can almost see your shadow. There's so much moonlight.
The other thing I thought was unique is going up Bright Angel is that there were all these springs.
Yeah.
Is that clean water?
It is.
Is that coming out of the mountain?
That's why you need the filter. The filter.
So
I don't know what the source of it is, but yeah, Garden Creek runs for a good portion of Bright Angel.
No springs, South Kaibab.
None.
Okay.
0.
But probably 4 or 5 springs going up Bright Angel.
Yeah, you got creek
So you're
crossings.
never going to run out of water.
Right.
Okay.
Even if the water and you have water available at Havasupai Gardens, you have water available at 3 Mile Rest House and 1.5 Mile Rest House, assuming those water sources are turned on, which they aren't always. So again, if you have a filter, you can always filter out of the natural sources. I don't think they were on. They haven't been on yet this season. So you would have had water available at Havasupai Gardens, but not at 1.5 Mile or 3 Mile Rest House on your trip.
No. Then I met these other guys at there was a spring, not at Havasupai, but prior to that. And these guys were filling up their bladder, and they could tell I was getting tired, and they asked me if I needed to top off, and I did. And so
man, I love when people are helpful like that.
They're so helpful.
That's so nice.
Hikers are such a wonderful group of people.
We got to look out for each other.
And here's the thing, I thought that even if I did do this hike, I would be out at dinner. Well, we're past dinner now.
Already.
Okay? And
you've got the hardest part of the hike still to go.
So I had, I think, Sven and a couple other guys, and I wished I could remember their names. And I said, look, here's my wife's phone number. call her and let her know that here's where I'm at and I'm fine. And these guys all did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they called her and said, met your husband is Phil, and here's where he was located, and he's basically saying he's not going to make dinner.
That was smart. That was smart.
But I knew that I had my wife and my daughter that were by now probably very concerned.
And you had a long way to go.
And I got
it wasn't
a long
going to be
way to
anytime
go.
soon. Imagine how worried they'd be hours from now.
And knowing Lindsay, I mean, she's the type that'll go out and hire a search party, okay, of which I'm sure she probably has already contacted them, and they probably said, well, give them till midnight or something. So I topped off, and I continue on, and so when I get past Havasupai Gardens, which is a great place, 4.5 miles, about another 1.5 miles, there was this hiker girl coming down, and I haven't seen anybody now in hours. Okay, so we chatted it up for a minute, and she is just out doing a nightly 9-mile after dinner hike.
Oh, jeez. So she lives in the village.
She lives in the village.
Nice.
And she works for the Grand Canyon. I have no clue what she does for a living, but I can tell you what a wonderful young lady. Her name was Veronica, and she's just the best of the best. And so, she just goes, how you doing? I said, I'm doing pretty good. And she goes, well, I'll look for you on the way back. I hope I don't see you. I hope you're out. But I'm going up and she's going down. She still had a couple miles to go. So she went all the way down to where she was going to and came back up and still caught me. Mm-hmm. And we still have probably 2 miles to go. And she didn't come up and say, this hike could be a little over your head. There was none of that. There was no ridicule.
It was too late for any of that, Phil.
Okay, she just came up and she goes, how you doing? I said, I'm doing all right. And she goes, when was the last time you ate? I said, I'm really having a hard time eating. Mm-hmm. And she goes, so she peeled me a tangerine. And she goes, why don't you try this? Oh, my goodness, that really helped. And she goes, when was the last time that you had a big drink of water? And I said, well, I'm taking a shot here and there. She goes, no. She goes, I want you to drink like for a minute. She goes, just drink. She goes, I just want you to fill the tank up. And so I did. I mean, I absolutely had a big drink. Well, that tangerine and that drink helped.
Fabulous.
Okay. And so we started up. And we probably still had maybe, 2.5 miles to go. And it's daunting because when I tell you up, it's up.
Yeah, and I want to stop you right there because I do want people to know this, that the spot you're talking about, the last 3 miles of Bright Angel, you will hear over and over that people talk about how that just about killed them. And I will tell you that the last 3 miles of Bright Angel, as much of a reputation as South Kaibab gets for being so much steeper and so much harder than Bright Angel, the last 3 miles of Bright Angel are as hard as anything on South Kaibab. And if you look at the elevation profiles, they're almost identical. It is steep. It is difficult. I think perhaps the fact that it was dark is helpful because you don't look up and see how steep it actually is, but that'll kill you. So thank goodness that you had the tangerine, you had the water, and now you had Veronica by your side.
And all she, and this is like a super hiker girl, okay? Mm-hmm. She probably could have ran this backwards, okay?
But she was still taking the time to hang out with you and make sure you're okay.
She didn't ridicule. We talked about the most interesting stuff, families and what's going on up in the stars, and I mean, we had a beautiful conversation, but what a nice person.
Wow.
I mean,
just for her to stop and interrupt her hike and she just wants to make sure you're okay, obviously.
She just,
I love it.
I hope that eventually she is running the whole Grand Canyon. I mean, she is that smart, that good. She grew up in Oregon, got great parents, and she is a hiker extraordinaire. She is the type of person that you expect to see hiking the Grand Canyon, and cares about other people. Obviously,
clearly.
I mean, she just could have, said, "Hey, how you doing? I'm fine," and gone home.
Yeah,
but she didn't. And I'm at the point now to where I can honestly tell you I'm exhausted. So I am going up, and I would go about 100 steps. and I'd have to sit down and take about a 15-minute break. And then I would go 100 steps, and I would reward myself with a 15-minute break.
And she's staying with you this whole time?
The whole time.
Oh, my.
And
Wow.
not one time ever go, come on, man, you're slacking. Okay?
This is the definition of a trail angel.
She just is unbelievable. She was certainly my angel.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that lasts from 9 o'clock at night until 11:15. It was hard. I mean, it was hard. It was, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then I'm listening. I remember Arnie going, "You got twice in you what you have prepped for." And then, and I'm listening. Then I'm remembering you going, "Okay, that you went from rim to rim in the dark, and then back over to Bright Angel in the day." And I'm going, "Okay, everybody's done this, Phil. You got this. It's no big deal. If you have to take a break now and then, take a break." And then we get about a mile from the rim, and there is this crazy light shining over the canyon on the trees. And I says, and she goes, "Look at that light. That is so bizarre." And Veronica, that's what she said. And I said, she goes, "I've never seen that before. I have no idea what that is." She goes, "But it's lit that whole area up." And I said, "I'm telling you, trust me, it's my daughter. She has meandered her car past all the signs, and she has parked the headlights over the canyon so that we can see the way." I said, "The only thing I'm surprised about is that she hasn't sent a rescue party down." Okay, but, and so we get up to the top. And it's so bizarre. You have been hiking 16 hours in the canyon, all of a sudden you're out.
Yeah.
One step, you're out.
Yeah.
You're just back to flat ground. It is so bizarre.
And at 11 o'clock at night, there's nobody up there. It's pitch black. It's like, oh, that's
it's
it,
pitch black. Nobody's out. And then you can hear Lindsay, "Dad!"
So she was up there.
She was up there.
Oh, man.
And she had meandered her car. So we gave Veronica a ride to her house. Offered to buy her dinner. She wouldn't accept anything. I couldn't give her so much as a pack of trail mix. I mean, she
did her thing, and then she was on her
said,
way.
"Have a great life.
Wow.
See you next time around."
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow.
And but 2 hours. It was we were together 2 hours, and it's so amazing how well you can get to know somebody in 2 hours. Just a wonderful, very thoughtful, deep thinking, smart young lady.
Yeah.
So much fun.
What a story. So what a day, Phil.
What
So
a
you start at South Kaibab with your daughter. You're going down, you know, a few miles is what you're thinking. You end up doing the entire rim to river to rim hike, which is over 16 miles, 4,780 feet of elevation on the way down, 4,400 feet of elevation on the way back up. That's a day. The longest hike you've ever done. You say this is the hardest physical thing you've ever done?
Ever in my life. And then I have to add 2 extra miles. When I got past the second bridge, I realized that when I was filling up my bladder, I left my trekking poles.
Oh, no.
So I decided to go back, which was about a mile back. And I'm going to tell you something. That was a mistake.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the trick is just if you leave something, just leave it.
You got past Silver Bridge and realized you didn't have your poles, and you went all the way back to get them.
I did.
So you did 18 miles.
I did 18. And,
my.
And guess what? I couldn't find my poles. So,
Oh, no. So you did this without poles.
And I can't even begin to tell you the difference between hiking 16 miles and 18 miles.
Sure.
Okay, so I hiked up Bright Angel without trekking poles, and I really, honestly, I urge people. I think poles help.
100%. I will never hike in the canyon again without poles. The first time I did it without poles, and I have never done it without poles since. They make all the difference going down and going up. So the fact that you had to do this entire thing without poles on the way up,
Without poles,
this is a new twist in the story, Phil.
it's crazy,
And you went back and they weren't even there.
and they weren't there.
Come on.
So I either, I just think I forgot where I put them down. Honestly, but they weren't there. I couldn't find them anyway.
You made it.
I made it.
Okay,
but
so how are you feeling? You get to the top, like you said, it's over. Oh my gosh, it's dark. My daughter's here. It's just kind of that's the end of it.
I'm a
but
bit
physically,
emotional.
How are you feeling?
We had to go back to Flagstaff, so I slept in the back seat.
Well, hold on. But before you get to that point, When you do surface, though, you talk about that emotion. Because people become overwhelmed by the emotion, the physical accomplishment, the place you did it at. What were those emotions you were feeling?
It is, I don't know. I mean, you've got all these things, these deep life things going through your mind. But the overwhelming emotion is that I'm exhausted. I mean, I am absolutely. I've got to sit down somewhere, and so we gave Veronica a ride to her house, and then Lindsay took off, and she's tired. I mean, she hiked early that day. She's worked all day long. It's now midnight.
She's been worrying about you for hours.
Correct, and now we still got to drive back to Flagstaff. So we
Wow.
didn't get to Flagstaff till probably 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah, it's about another hour and 20 minutes away.
And so, we get back to the hotel room, and then she had pizza earlier in the night, and she goes, I don't know if this pizza's any good. Do you want a piece of pizza? And I took a bite of that pizza, and it made me so emotional.
Oh.
I couldn't believe how good that 8-hour-old pizza tasted. That was really good.
Because no food had sounded even remotely good to you, and now
None.
you're finally
Up until
recovering.
now.
And yeah,
And then I had drinking like a quart of Gatorade on the way back from Grand Canyon. That really helped. But then the next day, honestly, the funny thing is, my wife Wendy asked, she goes, how do you feel? And I felt fine.
really,
Yeah.
no soreness?
No, none.
What?
Yeah, my feet, I was fine.
You didn't even get the famous Canyon shuffle.
No, I didn't get anything.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I got
That's incredible.
There's no calluses on my toes or...
Well, you must have been prepared.
No
you must
injuries.
You must have done something right.
I can tell you that I'm really glad I did it. It's really wonderful to check off a New Year's resolution, of which I love to do. Now I've done it, and it's a little empty.
That you accomplished it so early in the year too.
Yeah.
We're only in May.
So in other words, I accomplished it too fast.
But you have a 1A, which is rim to river, and now your 1B happens later this year, which is rim to rim, which is
Rim
the
to
ultimate
rim.
goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still there.
And I have rooms for the end of September.
Perfect.
So I'm hoping it's not too hot.
Let's try to bring this full circle. You saw the canyon for the first time when you were 3 or 4 years old. You'll turn 71 in just a couple of weeks here. So that's a big spread in years from the first time you saw it until the last time you were there. This time is the first time you ever went below the rim. So I'm curious how much your perspective and respect and love maybe for the canyon has changed now that you've actually been below the rim.
I have always loved the Grand Canyon. I honestly don't know how you can look at something that magnificent and just not be in awe of what you're looking at. But I did get it. I mean, I can honestly tell you that I conquered it. I went all the way to the bottom and back up on my feet. So me and that canyon, we have fought, and I was victorious.
That was Phil Neely, almost 71 years old and a first-time conqueror of the iconic Rim to River hike. Folks, I hope that shows you that it is just never too late to take on the canyon. Heck, it was just last year that a 92-year-old Alfredo Aliaga set the Guinness World Record for the oldest to complete rim to rim. You will see older hikers and backpackers on every trip you make below the rim, so why not join them? I promise you that you can do it if you will just take that first step and commit yourself to proper preparation. That means training, research, joining the Facebook groups, podcasts, and especially figuring out how to hold yourself accountable. For instance, for me, I hike Black Mountain here in Arizona 6 days a week, and my day is not complete until I have that marked on my calendar that I did my hike that day. I mark it off every single day. Self-accountability can be everything. But if you have someone to train with and you can hold each other accountable, well, that is even better. Phil, by the way, has another New Year's resolution that he's working on. He's writing a book. Sounds like it'll be of the self-help variety, and he can certainly tell a story, as you heard. We will look forward to hearing more about that book in the years to come. Okay, you heard Phil reference Coach Arnie a couple of times, so Coach Arnie's advice must be working. In this week's training tip, Coach is talking staying grounded and how foot mobility will help you in your canyon hikes.
Hey guys, this is Coach Arnie with his Grand Canyon Tip of the Week. And again, I want to thank Brian for allowing me to share some wisdom and a little knowledge with you guys. I really appreciate that. So let's get right to it. Today, we want to talk about foot mobility. And building on our tip that we had last week with the big toe, we're moving from the ground up. But this time we want to talk about how we can keep more of our foot on the trail, whether we're going uphill or downhill. And why is that important? Well, one, it allows me to adapt to the trail. See, if I'm up on my toes, I'm committed. I'm committed to going in one direction. If I'm on the my whole foot as much as possible, I can go up on my toes and move quickly, or I can go back on my heels and adjust and change directions more easily. So foot mobility is so critical to not only being able to move better, but it also allows you to save the muscles that you're using so that they don't get worn out. See, if I'm up on my toes, I'm going to really wear out my calves. I'm going to put a lot of stress on my soleus, and I'm going to put an awful lot of stress on my Achilles tendon, which is trying to control my foot. If I'm flatter, none of that's happening, at least at an accelerated rate. So we want to have better mobility. And so what we want to do, obviously, is to work to achieving better range of motion. The best way to do that, and this is the tip, is to get on your training hikes and focus a little bit more on keeping more of your foot on the trail uphill and downhill, because I'm going to share with you on a future tip how you can add to that range of motion and get that better and accelerate that process. But right now, the best way is to just hike with more of your foot on the trail. Again, everything's about posture, everything's about positioning. So let's work on foot mobility, keeping more of your foot on the trail. I love you guys, and feel free to reach out to me anytime if you've got questions, and maybe one of your questions we'll answer on the tip of the week. Love you guys.
You'll find Coach Arnie's contact information in the show notes. All right, just a reminder that the Rim to Rim pack is now shipping. It's available in limited quantities, so if you're looking for a day pack, we would be honored if you would consider it. To call the Rim to Rim pack a passion project is an understatement. We designed it specifically for Grand Canyon day hikes up to rim to rim to rim. It's got the look and feel of a running vest, including the front pockets, but it has a 22-liter capacity, so it's more of a full-size day pack. I never hike the canyon without it anymore. Please give it a look at brightangeloutfitters.com. Also, as we enter the warmer months in the canyon, please remember to use our Grand Canyon Shade Tracker. That's an interactive tool that lets you see when and where you will have shade on your hike any minute of any day on any trail in the canyon. Direct sun can be a killer, and shade can mean everything. And the Grand Canyon Shade Tracker lets you know where to find it. It's absolutely free to use. That too is at brightangeloutfitters.com. While you're there, you can also get our absolutely free ebook, A Beginner's Guide to Rim. Just enter your email and we'll send it to you right away. At Bright Angel Outfitters, we do it all for the love of the canyon and to help you have your best possible experience below the rim. All right, that's it for now. My name is Brian Special, encouraging you as always. And hey, this might have even worked on Phil. Go hike the canyon. Take that first step. Embrace the journey. And when you get there, whether it's for time goals or taking your time, just hike your own hike and enjoy every step of one of the most spectacular hikes you can do anywhere on Earth. We'll see you next time on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters.